Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In this edition of Between the Headlines, we're going to speak with candidate for the governor for the state of Virginia, Donna Charles. We are going to talk about how race or candidacy for governor of the great state of Virginia. Donna, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me.
We are so happy to have you. And by way of introduction, I'm going to play a short video of Donna introducing herself and why she's running. And after that, we're going to start the interview. Take a listen.
Hi, I'm Donna Charles. I'm running for governor of Virginia, and I'm running as an independent. Before I share why I'm running and where I stand on the issues that you care about, let me introduce myself. I am a veteran who served in the Air Force for almost a decade. I joined right before 9/11 and deployed to Iraq twice as an intelligence officer. I'm also a former civil servant who has worked on national security issues for over 20 years. I've served at the State Department, DoD, the intelligence community, the National Security Council, and on Capitol Hill. I pledge an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, an oath that I carried with me while protecting my fellow Americans at home and abroad. I'm running for governor because I live for public service and love Virginia, the place I called home after leaving active duty. And I'm running as an independent because I believe we all deserve a real choice in November. Remember, folks, none of the candidates for governor will face a primary before elections in November. So, once again, your party did not let you decide who should be the nominee. Let that sink in after what happened in 2024 and where it landed us today. Let's be clear, this crisis did not happen overnight. It took years to get us where we are today. If we want things to change, we have to reject old party politics and move differently. Virginians deserve better. Whether it's fighting for your rights, your health care, or more support for our veterans and first responders, I will hit the ground running. And I will fight like hell for a living wage for all Virginians. That's how you build stronger families, and that's how you improve the standard of living for everyone. In November, we have a chance to send a strong and clear message by choosing an independent voice. When I go to Richmond, I will build bridges.
Well, that's Donna introducing yourself. Donna, thank you again for coming. And we want to say we are glad to have you. This is your first time on Focus on Liberia. I want to give you a bottle of water and say welcome and feel at home. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I very much appreciate the opportunity on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. And Donna, I know you introduced yourself on the show. We also know that you have a connection with Liberia. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And let me ask you, this is huge. Why are you running?
Well, I'm running because I love Virginia. I have a heart for public service, and I am uh, leveraging the experience that I've gained over 20 years in national security and foreign policy in the U.S. government to help lead the next generation here in Virginia and making sure I make Virginia an even better place to live in partnership with Virginians.
Yeah. And you are running as independent.
Yes,
We have the current governor is ineligible to run. So
right.
you have
It's a wide open race. Yes.
right. This is wide open. Everybody. So you have the Democrat and Republican, both female.
Yes.
Right now, what we are reading is they are the top two candidates
Yes.
in the race. I mean, what's your chances of winning? With the country being so polarized, Democrats and Republican, you have and even the Republican is a black woman, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what are your chances?
Well, it's quite the historic race, and I appreciate you bringing up the probability and the statistics. At the end of the day, it's 2025. And if we've been watching the 2025 with any level of attention, we'll realize that almost anything can happen. There have been a lot of dark horses that have come up from behind. If you just look over at what happened in New York with Zoran Mamdani, he came up from behind at 1% in the polls and is now the prime contender to become mayor of New York City. And so while I realize that I am definitely a long shot running not only as an independent, but also as a write-in candidate because of the sabotage that occurred against my campaign, I will not be on the ballot. But I do not take anything for granted, and nor should either of the candidates, because we are in historic times. We are at a point in our country where people are dissatisfied with how both parties have placed us in the situation we're in today. So I'm responding to what I know to be where most Virginians are. Most Virginians are centrist, independent-minded, and are eager to see new blood, fresh face, and new ideas bringing change to Virginia in very difficult times.
And you say you are not going to be on the ballot?
No, I'm not. It's an unfortunate situation, but my campaign was targeted very early on in my candidacy. I've already filed a police report. It has been under investigation, but the unfortunate reality is that an operative, the identity of this person is known to law enforcement, but an operative was deployed to one of my field operations in Roanoke, Virginia. And this person stole hundreds of signatures that I needed to qualify for ballot access. And it's a very disappointing reality of blood sport politics here, not just in Virginia, but in the United States. Yeah. And so while I will not be on the ballot because of this sabotage operation, I have determined that I will not give up, that I will continue my campaign. And I will forge ahead knowing that anybody who was interested in targeting my campaign that way obviously sees me as a contender and a threat, because you wouldn't go after somebody like that if you didn't think they were a threat in any way.
Right. But and people can write in your name.
Absolutely. And it's an easy name to write in, Donna Charles.
Right. Polls after polls get both the Republican and the Democrat candidates neck to neck, and it comes back to that question. There must be a strong resolve that you can make it.
Yes.
Where are you drawing that energy from? And that
well, I've always had a very strong sense of determination and will to power. So that is obviously the most important thing. But I also realize that I have a very strong and compelling message. At any moment in the last month and a half that I've been steadily on the campaign trail, engaging voters, I have become more and more encouraged by how receptive, how resonant my message has been with voters, people I've been engaging with on a day-to-day basis. When people look at the platform and realize that my goal is to improve the standard of living for working class, middle class Virginians, for everyday Virginians, something clicks. So I get the very strong sense that with the right energy, with the right support, with the fundraising, obviously, which is a fundamental part of any viable campaign, and with the proper messaging tools, I will be able to prevail. And that is because, again, both parties, while you see the polls indicating, and whatever those polls are, we all know that polls can be taken with a grain of salt. We all realize that both parties are at historically low approval ratings across the country, not just here in Virginia, but across the country. So it is abundantly clear that people are eager to see somebody who speaks to the issues that they have to deal with on a daily basis. So I take nothing for granted, and neither should either of the candidates.
And you're right? At this time, there's a lot of distrust for both parties. Why is that so? And how are you trying to take advantage of that?
Well, that's a really good question. It becomes abundantly clear when we look at what happened last Friday with the passage of one big beautiful bill. While it's very easy to point fingers at solely at the Republican Party because they are in power in the House, the Senate, and the White House, we came down this road not just because of Republican leadership. We came down this road because of what happened not just last year, but in years prior. both parties have unfortunately failed the American people, have failed to deliver on fundamental issues that affect people at the pocketbook level, health, and other forms of welfare. So when you think about, for instance, what One Big Beautiful Bill represents, it represents a massive gift to the wealthiest Americans. And the wealthiest Americans are not just Republicans, they're Republicans and Democrats. There are people who have been in Congress for decades who have magically become very wealthy as a function of, again, having access maybe to information that other people don't have access to, or having access to individuals that other people do not have access to. And so I think a lot of the American population, not just Virginians, but Americans broadly, are dissatisfied with how much self-serving and self-dealing is going on in Washington. And it's a reflection of a broken system that very much thrives on the status quo. This two-party system that allows people to remain deadlocked and become further polarized, and essentially creating a lack of policy movement and a lack of change in Washington that helps everyday Americans.
That's important you said that, right? Because if it is becoming clear to me now that, and I was reading or I was listening to one podcast, and this person said both parties serve the oligarch, right? Is one party want to keep it stable, the Democrats want to keep it stable, let things remain as they are, even though we are all serving the wealthy. And then the Republicans said, okay, we're going to turn it upside down, and but we all serving the wealthy. Take, for instance, even the current stance of the current administration on deporting people. Mm-hmm. It appears to me that both parties agree that they are all violent criminals that need to be getting rid of. The only difference is one is saying, let's go through the process. And the other guy is saying, the process doesn't matter. As long as they are criminals, let them go. Mm-hmm. But both are saying the same thing.
Well, not only are both saying the same thing, I think it's also very disingenuous for people to be wringing their hands and flapping their arms at this point when immigration reform was on the table for decades and nobody did anything substantial going back to the 80s and 90s. We are at a point where immigration has become a wedge issue, and both parties benefit from it being a wedge issue, in the sense that you have a large class of individuals in this country who have been long exploited, who have been kept under the thumb of employers who use threats of deportation and exposure to ensure that people don't complain in the workforce in particular. So this is a system, as we can all imagine, benefits not just Republicans, not just Democrats, but it benefits the wealthiest people in this country who make money off of exploiting the labor of people who are in desperate and dire straits. So if there were some real movement on immigration decades ago, even in the last year or so, if there were real movement among Republicans and Democrats, we wouldn't be seeing the atrocities that are occurring on American streets every day.
And so this is a beautiful message, right? But just like even in my country, Liberia, I mean, how many people, because we are so accustomed to these two parties, and it's like, okay, there's just a tiny bit in the middle that you can sway left or right. How do you intend to craft that message so that you can pull people from both parties to vote for you?
Sure. Well, I mentioned this in a meeting that I had yesterday in Richmond. Regardless of what people may think of of the founding fathers of the United States of America, one of the warnings that came through very loudly and very clearly from George Washington as he left Mount Vernon in 1796, he warned the American people that this two-party system that has endured for centuries, obviously, this two-party system will be an entry point for tyranny. He predicted that a two-party system so entrenched and so empowered would eventually lead to a rise of tyrants, because you have a system that breeds a tug of war. So you have two parties that are constantly going back and forth. There's a very good reason we have three branches in our government. There's a moderating force in that third element. So having independent voices come into the fray will help moderate the extreme elements that we see in the Democrat and the Republican sides. And so having an option that allows people to moderate, that allows people to break the logjam that oftentimes occurs between Democrats and Republicans, this volleyball effect, as you call it, would help, I think, create an opportunity to advance measures, to advance legislation and policy that best benefits the American people. When you bring somebody in that, I wouldn't necessarily say threatens the status quo, but helps stabilize the status quo, you have an opportunity to have real conversations. You can have individuals either in Congress or in the state houses that help bring people together because they are operating in the middle of the road. They're not operating to the advantage of one party or the other. That person can serve as a broker, as an arbiter, as somebody who is seen as a moderating force, and somebody who is seen to work in the interests of the people, of the state, or of the country, rather than for or against a particular party. And that's what we're seeing all across the country. We're seeing, chief executives of state, of governors. We're seeing members of Congress who are more concerned about their political futures and working it to advance the agenda of their party versus advancing the agenda of the people they're supposed to be serving. And that's one of the reasons I think that my message will resonate. Once I break through, I'm seeing suppression of my content across all of the social media platforms. But once I make that breakthrough, I think that I will continue to resonate, not just with Virginians, but with people across the country who are looking for change.
And how tough is this? How tough is it for you?
Oh, it's every day. It's an uphill climb every single day. And the reason it's so tough is because I come in with several disadvantages in the sense that I'm not a known quantity to most people. I've worked in the bowels of government, in national security, as a nameless and faceless person very often. And so that's already a difficult bat to swing, right? Because I don't come in with name recognition. I don't come in with millions of dollars. I'm not a multimillionaire, and I'm a person of modest means. And so I'm self-financing on the savings that I've accrued, and I don't have the backing of major corporations, dark money, oligarchs who would like to use me to do their bidding. So yes, you're absolutely right. This is a very difficult road ahead of me. But what I am very confident in is that when people see and hear my message, they realize that I am just like them. And my goal is to represent their interests and not the interests of a corporation that has an agenda to put forth, be it either in energy or in tech or some other area or industry. My goal would be to connect with every voter, eye to eye, face to face, and make sure that they realize that not only do I care about their issues, I understand the things that they've gone through because I've been there. I've been in a place where I've had to file for unemployment insurance, for instance, because I was wrongfully terminated from a government job. I have been in a place where I've wondered where my next rent check was going to come from, again, because I've been in situations where, sometimes things weren't easy. And when you're able to speak to people on that level, people understand that you are not a lofty person living in an ivory tower with lofty ideas and have no idea about how they live. When somebody looks at you and realizes that you know how they live, there's a whole different connection there. And I've been experiencing that on the campaign trail.
Thank you. And I was going to ask you about the money. You talk about it already. And because these oligarchs, these capitalists, right, they fund campaigns so that they can do their bidding. Mm-hmm. So let's say they give money to me this year. I went there and I'm independent minded. I'm no longer dancing to the beats of their drum. They're going to fund my opponent the following year, right? So right. So that's how it's been. So now, if there's no big money behind you, I mean, how are you trying to make it, and what's the history of anyone in Virginia, for that matter, who is preaching this kind of message that is coming from you being successful?
So you make a very good point that at the end of the day, money is what fuels campaigns in this country. But we have seen several instances where people who have dedicated and committed to focusing their campaign financing on small dollar donors, on individual donors, rather than on corporate funding, we have seen instances where people have been successful. So when you look at the likes of Bernie Sanders and AOC, and others who, and even Zoran Mamdani, these people have been able to finance millions of dollars in campaign contributions, have been able to finance their campaigns at the millions of dollars because they were able to get a message to break through and resonate with people, with everyday people. And that is what I've been working toward every single day, is to ensure that my message resonates. I'm only a month and a half into the launch of my campaign officially. And I realize that I have some work to do. But when it comes to the history of Virginia, you're right. You'll see in recent years, more often than not, the leadership of the Commonwealth usually comes either from money or comes from a very strong corporate backing. But we have instances, and again, examples from all over the country where independent candidates have been able to make a breakthrough and be elected at the state level. We've seen it in Minnesota, we've seen it in Maine, we've seen it in Rhode Island, and the list goes on. So it's not a completely pie in the sky idea. It's not a fantasy to see an independent candidate who is not backed by corporate interests rise to the top and make a huge change. It's going to take a lot of work, but I'm all in for it.
Thank you. One reason I didn't start with this is we are not interviewing you because you have a Liberian background or because of anything else. We take you as any other candidate. But people watching you will be interested, and you're going to inspire others if they know that your mom is from Liberia.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your Liberian roots as much as you want to share.
Sure.
Because, and what you are telling voters, both of Liberian descent, of African descent, and wherever they may come from.
Well, as many as you mentioned, as many people know, I do have roots in Liberia. I was born here in the United States, but my mother is Mary Bro. She served in various capacities in Liberia, and she's there now. She was a former mayor of Monrovia and also was a director general of GSA. And right now she's working to support the efforts of LEC to expand energy access throughout not just the capital, but all parts of Liberia. My mother is very well known. I always joke that if I were nearly as popular as my mom, I would have no problem with this campaign. Because my mother is very, very well known, at least in Liberia and throughout the diaspora community here as well. I owe everything to my mother, to her heart, for her love for me as her only child. As a disciplinarian, somebody who was very focused on making sure I had the best education she and my dad at the time could possibly afford. My mother was also very interested in me being well-rounded and ensure that I participated in extracurricular activities, everything from piano to cheerleading to dance to Girl Scouts to camping, and the list goes on. So my mother was and still is the most important champion and cheerleader in my life. And I owe everything to her, to her dedication to me, to how much she sacrificed to make sure that I had what I needed growing up. Again, we grew up modest means, but she did everything to prioritize me, my education, and my success in later years.
Thank you very much. As we conclude, I just want to hear your final message to voters.
Sure. One of the things I wanted to relay is that it is critical for people to consider the path that we're on and how the two-party system has led us down the path we're on today. My goal is to earn every vote as an independent for those people who might be considering an alternative to the two-party system, not just here in Virginia, but elsewhere. It's critical that I receive support from those who might be looking to support my campaign or to see me succeed. If you go to donnaforva.com, DONNAFORVA.com, you'll learn more about my platform, the issues that I've been talking to voters about, and you can go there to donate. You can also text 801-801 and enter Donna to donate. Small dollar donations, $3, $5 goes a very long way. But my goal is to earn your vote and to ensure that I provide an alternative for those who are looking for change.
Thank you very much, Donna.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And we're very proud of you and what you are doing.
Thank you.
And as we end the show again, thank you for coming. We wish you all the best in your campaign. And even though I'm not in Virginia, but but wish you all the best. Anything you want us to do?
Well, just make sure that people know that you don't have to be a resident of Virginia to contribute to my campaign. But your support means the world to me. Anybody out there who is interested in learning more can contact the campaign directly. If you go to the website and fill out the contact form, we'd be happy to engage. We're also looking for volunteers and for support in canvassing, door knocking, phone banking, and other areas where we can get the word out about my candidacy and my campaign and my goal to become the next governor of Virginia.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me announce that we're going to start another show. And so you see the guys that are already coming in. Mohammed, you want to say hi?
Hi, Mohammed. I think
Mohammed,
you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. How are you, Donna? How's the campaign? How's it going?
It's going. It's hard work, but we are making inroads. We are definitely diving deep and meeting a lot of people throughout the Commonwealth. So very much looking forward to ramping things up through the summer.
That's good.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Donna. And
thank you for having me, Dennis.
You're welcome. At this time, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about President Buckeye's visit to the U.S. and meeting with President Trump today.